Welcome to the Accomplished Brain podcast, where we share our passion, knowledge, and experience about the brain and health.
Now, I want to show you our software on some things that we can do with the software that we could put right onto your phone. So let's go and say somebody has a problem with their eye movements, and we want them to track their eyes better. Okay, so we're gonna fire up my software. We're gonna show you a little bit about that as well.
So, Andrew, while you're doing that, I just want to jump in and talk a little bit about bringing neuroplasticity into from like a musculoskeletal issue. Like, for example, I have a lot of clients that walk in, whether it's, neck pain or lower back pain. The common thing is, I sit at a computer all day and I try to remind myself to sit up straight. Well, the reality is that their brain has kind of been set from slouching while they're at the computer, that head posture or that low back posture is normal. And so we play that into exercise in regards to whether it's a deadlift, whether it's a squat, whether it's a row, whatever it is, or performing Aldoa, is having them understand how to hold good posture during the exercise. And because that's constant activation, and we do that over and over and over again, the brain begins to understand, oh, that's how Andrew or that's how Jeff wants me to hold my neck. And so when you talk about, long-term potentiation, that can never be accomplished from working out 2 times a week with a trainer. We give everybody homework, and
100%.
homework, right, by doing things on your own and doing things the right way is the only way that's going to reinforce. And it takes time. And I think that's always one of the hardest things to understand is there's no magic pill for something like this. It's something that has to be practiced over and over, and exactly to your point, at the appropriate rate or at the appropriate frequency.
Yeah. So let me take that question. That's a great question and answer. So yes, when you're if clients sit all day, right, and their posture is X, and then you want them to get their posture better. So the fact is that they have this job that requires them to sit. So they're going to have to do. So then what happens is the brain is getting used to this pattern of them sitting, mm-hmm. And then the brain is based, because you just think about this. If you think about the brain is controlling everything we do. So just think about this, that I can have, say, an example is I can have somebody do something to my hand, and my hand, I could, say I hurt my hand or I sprained my wrist, but I could still move my hand. But if I took the motor strip, like so in the brain has a representation of different body parts, mm-hmm. and somehow the body part that basically represented the hand, right, was the brain was affected up in the brain in the motor strip or the sensory or motor strip. The hand now would be like this. It would be flexed. And I don't care whatever you're going to do, you're not going to open up that hand unless you open that circuit. So what the point of it is, so you're not going to be able to use that hand, right? So if you have a sprained wrist, right, you could still move the hand and use it, and it might be a little bit of painful. So the point of the matter is that the brain up top is controlling everything, and all the function is coming from the brain. So yes, there are times that you're gonna in rehab, you're gonna work that specific muscle in that area, but you also have to be cognizant of the brain. So with that said, when you're sitting, the brain is seeing that a pattern that's developing, and the brain is firing muscles and that are now used to firing as a pattern, right, and putting you in a certain position. So now muscles tend to now stay in a certain position, whether they stay contracted or they stay elongated. What happens is you need to break that pattern by doing some kind of exercise that's going to help at a certain level, whether it's the back or the hamstrings or whatever it is, the hip. But at the same time, it's also helping to unlock the pattern of the brain. And you have to be able to do this and especially if you're sitting for hours, you can't expect in one day, one session, 1 week, it's probably going to take many months to get that pattern where you could sit and you're going and remember, it's just like anything else. It's just like, exercising is not something you do to get to a destination. Exercising is something you do as a lifestyle. So as long as you keep that lifestyle, so you don't just exercise the brain and you do it one time, or you do it for an intense period and then you stop. The brain is like anything else. It needs to be attended to. It needs to be, it needs to be paid attention. So you need to do exercise, but you may be in the beginning of doing very intense, but then after a while, you still need to keep maintenance up. So to keep that pattern up and clear. And a lot of people say, well, I got to do this the rest of my life. Well, let me ask you something. When you go and you exercise and you get your cardiovascular, you do it for 5 months and then you stop, you never exercise the rest of your life? No, in the beginning, when you're trying to get to a certain goal, you might be very intense, but then you're doing some sort of maintenance and you're always doing exercise because your body needs it. It's just like you don't eat healthy for 3 or 4 months or 5 months and then never eat healthy again. You need to be on a maintenance and constantly eat healthy. It's a lifestyle.
For sure.
Okay. So I'm going to share with you our software and just showing you some of the things that we could do. So we have a software that has 6 brain programs, 22 parts, and we use this software. We put this, so here's the software where we can control the settings and we could get very customized and we could put this on somebody's phone. So we have an eye movement program and just say we want to stimulate the eye or the vestibular system. So this is pretty cool. We can use, if you like, someone likes sports and tennis, we can move the size, the speed. We could have a certain specific background like grass. We can have the repetitions. We could set the number of sets. And remember, all these specific settings, we could actually select the client. We could set the settings and we sign the activity. And those settings move over right through the web through somebody's phone. And all someone has to do is log in and press play. And those settings are always there. So the great thing is we give the software to practitioners like myself, like Jeff, so they're able to work and develop and have the flexibility to develop a very customized program. But to the client is as simple as log in and press play. Okay. So we come over here and we have a starting position. So just say we want to start up to the right and we want to have them move down to the left. And they just press play and they watch the tennis ball. They have the grass background, the size of the target. They follow the ball. This is a tracking exercise. This is very good for correcting someone's head tilt. Which will help their balance. This is very good to stimulate their temporal lobe, which will help their medial temporal lobe for memory. So I use this sometimes for memory. I use this for head tilts. I use this for focus, for attention. So I use this for a lot of things. So I think in that case, we can have them do an eye movement. Then eye movement activates their photoreceptors as well as receptors that move their eyes. So their eye movements get better. Their eye muscles can strengthen, which is attached to their head posture. So Jeff and I, when we look at someone's posture, we're also looking at their posture and the alignment of their eye. The alignment of their eye, they call that a skew deviation. And the skew deviation just means that one eye is higher and one eye is lower. We could use tracking exercises to correct the skew deviation. And what happens is, as a part of the skew deviation, when one eye is higher or lower, they'll tend to tilt their head in one direction or the other, and they'll also rotate their neck. So now you could start seeing that abnormal motion and muscles fire. They can have headaches, neck pain, and they'll have balance issues. So we could correct that all and get neuroplasticity all with looking at their head posture, correlating that with the alignment of their eye, and then giving them a simple eye exercise that they could put on their phone that they could do 3 or 4 times a day. And over several weeks or months, they could start to see neuroplasticity, to change the cell level, change the firing. So now the nerve cells fire nicely. They come back to resting position, and the cellular level, we could activate the mitochondria, which makes more connections, which now that connection, their muscles start to change. And now their head posture from a head tilt from here starts to go here. Their balance now is improved. Their walking is improved. Their muscle, their work with Jeff, their strength starts to improve because they're recruiting the right muscles together and not compensating. Their back pain or neck pain could go away. All this can happen with neuroplasticity and the work that Jeff and I do.